One.
Hello, everybody. Guess who's back? It is both me and the main stand. Happy to be back for my vacation here for episode 19. Shout out Josh and Mitch for letting me use some PTO, being, the good coworkers that they are and really holding down the fort while I was gone, doing fucking, I don't even know. But we're back. It's episode 19. Guys, it's lovely to see both your beautiful faces through the computer again.
I could kiss you right now, dude.
It's the holiday app,
have
boys.
the
We're almost
tribac-
at 20 episodes, and we're celebrating the holidays this week. It's going to be a fun one.
Hell yeah. Happy Chrysler, everybody.
Merry Crisis.
Hanukkah.
I guess the first piece of housekeeping was I'm back. I had some real life things kind of going on. The podcast was a little difficult to keep up with, so Josh and Mitch held it down. I didn't have COVID, and then no one died, so it's nothing negative. Just a lot of stuff going on. Pretty busy end of the year period. So just took a couple weeks off. Appreciate the willingness from you boys for holding it down for me. And then while I was gone, the Omicron variant has the Premier League by the balls.
It is not sick. Breaking news from Swansea. Per, I believe it's Welsh regulations, they will be playing behind closed doors again. So we've seen our first official team go back to kind of beginning of the return of soccer after we've been in this kind of COVID world for the last couple of years.
I think Germany and the Netherlands had already gone back. This is definitely the first kind of Premier League side.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. I'm in favor of kind of just taking like a 30-day break and seeing where things go. I think, taking the fans back out of football is just bad for the sport overall, bad for probably the ratings and just kind of fans in general.
I'd rather just have them do a 30-day lockdown, let, as many as possible get vaccinated in that month time period, and then, go back to keeping the fans in the stadiums. Just an interesting kind of food for thought, I think, too. I saw like vaccination statistics from, the other 5 leagues and the Premier League, included in there. And this isn't like here nor there. I'm fully vaccinated, but like, what the fuck ever, do what you want to do. But it was interesting to see that the Premier League has had a lot of fixtures canceled, and they have the lowest vaccination rate out of any of the top 5 leagues. It's like 68% of the players are vaccinated compared to like most of the, other of Europe's top 5 leagues are like in the high to low 90s, percentage of players in the leagues are vaccinated right now. So just, interesting, it might be a mix of things too, but just some food for thought for those of you out there that have that opinion.
Yeah, without going into too much controversy here, I want Pat's opinion on this as someone who has a different manager, and Pep, Pep's fantastic. What I think what makes Jurgen Klopp so great though is like where he starts to kind of dip into like the city culture of Liverpool and like really connecting with people. What did you make of his comments, Pat? Him saying he never signed an unvaccinated player.
I actually didn't see that he said that, so that's interesting to me. I think, given the current landscape of the league, it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you look at it from like a strictly like availability standpoint, not looking at it from like, trying to politicize this or, whatever you want to call it, you want a guy who's going to be able to play the most games possible every year. And if you have a dude who like every time you leave the country, there's fear of him getting COVID if they leave their apartment, you probably don't want that guy in your side. So I can totally see where Klopp is coming from. I also was a pretty big fan of Klopp's comments a couple weeks ago where they were just like, do you think people should get vaccinated? And he's like, I don't know, man. I just listen to the people who are like the world's top scientists. Yep. And they told me to get vaccinated, so I did. I think we should all just listen to the people who know what they're talking about.
And he also has a personal relationship to it.
Losing his mother. Yeah.
Lost his mother to complications from COVID. So I think he has a unique perspective. I think everybody has their own situations that they're in, and I mean, looking at just the last 2 weeks, how fast the football world has kind of changed again. It's just a very day-to-day thing. And, I think the players are doing their due diligence. They have been. I think we're all kind of at the mercy of, what's gonna happen tomorrow. But I think just taking some time to shut it down and seeing what happens for the next 30 days would be a better thing than saying, yeah, we're going to keep playing, but we're going to kick our fans out. I mean,
Yeah. While I think that they should do that, I don't, in England anyway, I don't see it happening. Right. I think they're just going to play behind closed doors for like a month, and you're going to have like a month of fixtures with no fans again, and then kind of go from there.
It's just so hard.
Yeah, it's terrible. It sucks. It's like not.
And as Liverpool fans, we know how big having supporters at Anfield means.
Someone's knocking on my door. Hold on, sorry.
No, you're good.
It was very different, and I just hope that people can stay healthy, and that we can figure out a solution to this, so everybody gets the best of what is going on.
Yeah, and Pep Linders had a quote too. I don't know if you saw this, Mitch, of like before the game here this week. Pep Linders said, the one thing that's been like a common course throughout this pandemic with both like the Premier League and just English government is that they've always acted like too late. And I thought the past few weeks has been like the perfect example of that, of just like letting things snowball when it was just so easily preventable, just taking, a week or two off. And the main reason I wanted to bring this up is actually a tweet I saw today, and it was from @Awake in Belfast. So Awake in Belfast, we're on your ass. The tweet was, "I'm a broken man tonight. The love I had for Liverpool Football Club goes back 45 years as a former priority ticket holder. Next to my family, they were my only other love. Jurgen Klopp has killed that. I still have memories, but LFC, you're dead to me. I'll never watch you again." And that was a direct response to the comments Klopp made. So I kind of just wanted to get your guys' take on it.
People are stupid. Football is football. At the end of the day, you don't have to go on the back end and read every comment. You don't have to agree with everything, but what's going on the field is what we love. That's the game of football. Yep. And I think it's stupid to express your opinions that way.
Well said. Other than the COVID stuff, I mean, it looks like we're kind of, looks like we're past the brunt of it, hopefully, with a lot of, teams missing players and whatnot. I know Liverpool hasn't had any new cases in the past couple days, and matches are scheduled to go on for Boxing Day and those New Year's fixtures as well. So we'll see how it goes the next few days. Hopefully we're kind of past it, but we'll get into some kind of review stuff. Rick's picks is the only other housekeeping then we have really left on the list here. Went 2-1-1 last week, kind of a weird array of fixtures, but that one could have went pretty well. We went 2 for 2 the first day, and I thought things looked pretty smooth, but that Tottenham-Liverpool game on Sunday was a little bit messy. Mitch, why don't you go ahead and start with that one, and maybe the performance of Paul Tierney.
It was an unbelievably frustrating game. That's again a game that Liverpool should go out and win comfortably, especially with the side that Tottenham is putting out right now. But we're back to some inconsistent officiating and lack of VAR calls when things should. Just over the last, I would say 90 days, 3 months, we've seen unbelievably like just confusing calls when it comes to what's the high boot in one game, what's not in another, the contact, the pace of play, and then you have VAR in the mix as well. I question why the Harry Kane yellow was not checked.
Not even like that.
It wasn't even a question. And then to have a very similar, yes, Robbo wasn't on the ground. It wasn't a sliding challenge. But to have that looked at and then changed, I don't see a clear and obvious error in the call on the field at all. And I don't think anybody looking at that replay can say there was a clear and obvious error with the official giving a yellow. We're going to change that and give him a red.
Well, okay. Here's where the guy who's not a Liverpool fan is going to have his 2 cents on this. I think Harry Kane should not have been on the field, 100%. That was a red card. Very confused why Paul Tierney didn't go even look at the monitor. I'll totally agree with you guys there. Robertson's was a red card too. I don't think either player should have been on the pitch.
I agree that Robertson should have got a red card.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was an obvious error. Robertson lashed out at him. There was no attempt to play the ball. It fell right in line with the violent conduct intent to injure things. So while I agree, the whole idea of why didn't Kane's get checked, but Robertson's did is frustrating. It doesn't make any sense.
That is where most of my frustration lies.
Yeah,
because we saw it in the Pogba challenge in the Man United game.
Right.
Harry Kane's tackle was identical. And
I don't think Kane should have been on the pitch.
And that is the frustrating part for me.
And how is the Kavanaugh guy on VAR not like ringing down and being like, hey, we just watched that back? Because it's just as much on him as it is Tierney. And you saw the same thing happen in the City-Newcastle match because that was 100% a penalty on Ederson.
Yeah, it was 100%.
So how does the VAR ref not come down and have a say about that? And the thing that frustrates me is that I don't understand why these officials can't. They have like this aura around them where you can't talk to them or speak bad about them because they're refs and their job is hard. I just hate that. And then they just promote failure because Tierney is the VAR ref for Liverpool-Chelsea. So this thing just continues to happen in bigger and bigger matches. Players get dropped, managers get sacked. Why can't refs that have, an awful showing like that be dropped from big games and put someone that's doing well in? And that's what bothers me about the whole situation. Tierney obviously had a mess of it.
Yeah, he's been bad all year. He didn't. I mean, not to bring it back to another thing involving you guys, but he didn't even look at the monitor for that second yellow on Milner in the City-Liverpool game.
Yeah.
Where very fortunate for that not to happen too. But again, it's just an example of Paul Tierney not being competent enough to do that. And even then, the VAR told Tierney to look at that, and he decided to not. I'm pretty sure with the Milner one or something like that with that game. But again, it's an example. I agree with you. It's Tierney should be dropped. There should be something there. The overarching panel, the FA should be able to be like, listen, buddy, you've had a fucking nightmare these past 2 months. Why don't you take a break? Why don't you go be a linesman?
The Jota play in the box too. That was like a nailed-on pen for me. The ref's explanation for it was that Jota slowed down intentionally to make contact. If you watch that, Jota's literally just slowing up enough to get his foot under the ball so he can shoot, and that was what Klopp was kind of going after him after the game about. Just a ridiculous call.
What are the forwards supposed to do? If they're on full tilt run, just keep running. Like if you're on a breakaway, just slow the fuck down.
Apparently.
I just found an incredible statistic, Josh. I don't know if you've seen this one. In 20 domestic games this season, Liverpool have been issued 27 yellow cards and 1 red. 11 yellows and the red have all been issued by Tierney.
Tierney fucked up in the Tottenham game by giving a yellow card out early. I don't know if that's his style, but I thought he kind of officiated that game super poorly.
I don't feel like he's ever been so card happy. Like it feels like a more recent thing. Like it doesn't. Like I don't remember Paul Tierney flashing cards that fast.
Well, I think they're
in a Premier League game, and it's a big physical game.
To card him though, as of late, like this year especially, like. Cards have been given out. Like it kind of all started with that whole thing, like tugging in the box, being able to be called for a penalty. Like refs have kind of had that liberty these past couple of years to just like really, stamp down on like the tough physical play. And like more than others, I think Tierney has kind of taken that to another level. And I don't know, the statistic against you guys is weird. Like maybe he just doesn't fucking like you, but that is odd.
I wasn't looking at that as like he's biased and he hates Liverpool. I'm looking
campaign against Liverpool.
Like I'm just looking at, I don't know what other game, like was he the official for the United game as well?
I don't know.
I know he also did give a ton of cards to Spurs though too.
Yeah,
there were a lot of cards in that game.
It didn't seem as physical as that though, in the same breath.
Again, I just think it's like he's just a poor official, because that all goes down to like game management. Like when you're a ref, like if you set that early precedent, then you have to issue cards the rest of the game, and I think he does that too often. So it's just him being a shitty ref at the end of the day.
It's like he would rather stop play and have like 12 added minutes than just letting play go on.
And it was such a weird game too, like not to go into too much detail about Liverpool, but like our two best players on the day were ultimately the ones that kind of conceded the game. I thought Robertson was great. Yep. I mean, he all over the place, scores a wonderful goal, another Trent assist, and Alisson literally keeps us in that game for the majority of it. Two incredible saves. The one on Dele Alli was just incredible, insane. I don't know how he gets across for it, and then he kind of makes a stinker the second goal. So
what's been up with him this season?
It's been so hit or miss. I have no idea.
He's got the most errors leading to goal for any goalkeeper in the league this year. And it's weird because, like, he's a class keeper, but he just feels like he's got an error in him this year.
And I think it kind of leads back to, like, just he's not ideal on the one-on-ones anymore for some reason. And he's being caught out or leading, like his distribution is a little off as well. Like, it's just like, I don't know if there's a miscommunication or if there's something going on, but like, I don't think he has any, maybe it's just the yips. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just been a funny year for him. I didn't know if he's not been struggling with injury or anything like that. Nope. Has he? It's just been a weird year for him.
In my opinion, I think like last year was the weirder year for him. Yeah. I think at the beginning of the year, it was like, okay, like he's definitely back. It's been like the past two games in specific, like he's looked a little bit shaky on the ball, and I don't know if that's because the midfield's rotated a little bit, and like
I think it does have something to do with it.
Yeah, you'll notice that a lot. Like Thiago and Fabinho like to drop back in between like the two attackers or whoever's up there pressing, and I think that kind of like doubt of like where people are and where people are moving, that half second's like fucking him up a little bit, where he does like to hold on to the ball, if that makes sense.
Could be because we are changing our style a little bit when it comes to that midfield too. It's like now that we have Thiago kind of going full tilt and getting that starting role and like playing his style of midfield, it's different than we've seen in our Champions League campaign and our Premier League win as well. Like it's a little bit of a different midfield play, and I don't know if that change also forcing the change in the back line and how we position and the timing of things with how many times the back line has changed as well. It could just be leaving him a little less confident than usual too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear that. It's a funny situation that he's in, but I don't know. I was just curious what your guys' thoughts on that were there. Going up.
You have some thoughts
on what?
On your game.
Oh, I don't really have much. I have about the same shit I have to say about City every single fucking week. We're really good. Beat the piss out of Newcastle. 4-0. Ederson probably should have conceded a goal. Not gonna lie, that was a penalty. But 4 really, really well worked goals. De Bruyne is back. Sterling is right back amongst the goals, which is really, really cool to see from a City fan perspective. I thought we looked really good. I don't really have much else to say. I think just watching us play, you can really see it in and out. This City team is as confident as, that team that went back-to-back in 18-19. I think they have that mentality to know that they can't drop points or they're not going to win the title. And having a side that's done the same position that they're in right now, already done it. They're I think, going to do the best they can to replicate it again. They're playing extremely confidently, and it's something to note is this City side does not have a striker, and they have scored 11 goals in their last 2 games.
That's crazy. You just lost a forward, though, too, for Torres.
Yeah, we did, but he has barely been playing this season, and I think the fee is 55 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons, so it'll end up being
65,
right around 60 or right around 56 million pounds ultimately. So
what'd you get him for?
25, I think 25, 30. So we're making a little money on him, and then Jack Grealish only costs 45 million. That's what that means.
I'm gonna repeat a tweet I had this weekend. My favorite part of Newcastle games now is just them panning to the owners once Newcastle concedes and then ends up getting beaten. Oh my god,
it's so funny.
Their faces are just incredible when they're getting their ass beaten.
I mean, you can't. I mean, City are like the. I think they're the best away team in the league this year too. They're just like rocking up to everyone's stadium and kicking the shit out of them for the most part. I mean, they're good for a bogey game or two. Like Tottenham away, I always expect us to lose at the beginning of the year, and then that game we lost to Crystal Palace. But outside of that, like as somebody who's been a fan of the club for like 11 years now, I've been watching them, and there are games where you're just like, City are going to lose this game. I know for a fact the club I support are going to lose. It just feels like that. It's that game. I don't feel that way with the City side this year. They feel confident. They look good on the ball. They've come back from goal down situations, and they're not doing what they've done in the past, which is letting their foot off the gas when they're up 1 or 2 goals. I think the City side is very, very deadly, and if they get through January on top of the table, they're my favorites to close the year out and win the title.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad shout either. Even in the position Liverpool's in, 3 points behind, Man City, I don't know, when they have a lead at Christmas, it always looks kind of dangerous.
It's got 2019 vibes all over it.
It's going to be a really, really good race to the end. I think it's going to be City and Liverpool just going punch for punch. But when you guys come to the Etihad, and I think it's March or April, right? Or is it sooner? Is it February? It's sooner than that. It's coming up. I think it's February, isn't it? I'm pulling it up right now.
I feel like we play City and Chelsea like in kind of close vicinity. That
game, in my mind, is going to be the one that probably decides the title, very similarly to the 2019 season.
Yep. I would agree with that. I think that's going to be the game of the year, and I thought the first meeting between Liverpool City was the game of the year.
And we'll kind of move to the third, I guess, title challenger or fake title challenger, I guess now. 6 points behind first place, 3 points behind Liverpool. Chelsea, they played Wolves and dropped points again. Tuchel was doing his little whining bit at the beginning of the game, wanted the game postponed, didn't get it, had to play with a rotated team that still was pretty class all around, and they dropped points at the Molineux. What did you guys think of that one?
I think they're not out of it yet. I think they still have.
I think they're falling out of it very, very quickly.
It's literally it's going to be 2 more weeks, and if they keep up what they've been doing in the last 3-4 weeks,
I mean,
they'll be gone.
I guess the way I'm thinking of Chelsea's current title challenge is, how many times do you guys see Liverpool like tripping a little bit for the back half of the season? You'll drop points 1 to 2 more times, maybe. And then the City game, it's in April. The game against City in April was a toss-up between the two of us. City are going to drop points maybe 1 or 2 more times. Like, these teams are well-oiled machines. And when they get rolling and when they start killing teams, they just go and do it, and they do it, and they do it.
Like, sink their teeth fast.
They beat the hell out of teams. And like, we're watching these 2 teams that in the past 4 years have gone like winning record they've traded winning streak records, and City's like, again, that giant winning streak in 18-19, like 15 games in a row to close out the season to win the title, and then Liverpool going, tying that City record in 17-18 when you guys won the title, 18 games winning in a row in the league. these sides are just built to win games. And I don't think you can say the same thing about this Chelsea side right now. They look like a team that is built to not lose, not like a team that is built to win. And that's not losing is no longer enough to win you a title when you have these two teams at the top right now that are easily going to both win 30 games come the end of the season.
If that result against Leeds goes against them too a couple weeks ago, they'd actually be 7 points off first place.
And then they're out of it. So I think it's really tough to see this Chelsea team keeping pace unless something changes. They're just not, again, it comes down to they're not winning their games. They're not losing, they're drawing. They look like all right at the back for most of the games, and they never look like in danger of losing a lot of the time. You know, you're always just like, oh, they'll get one more. But they're not, it doesn't feel like they have that cutting edge in the final third to just like guarantee 3 points somewhere. Like they're not a City that's going to run you ragged and then get that last minute goal, to like the 83rd minute after they've run your legs to death. And they don't have a player like Mohamed Salah or honestly Jota right now who's just going to score a goal and win you a game. They just don't have that player or that well-drilled system. They're not that oiled machine that it's just going to win you a game. It just doesn't feel like they have it. That being said, I think they're still going to finish third.
And then lastly, last game we kind of want to review here is the top 4 challenger, Arsenal. They're in the top 4 right now. What do we think about Arsenal? They pumped Leeds. They've been on a pretty good run. I kind of had brought up a couple weeks ago that's been against some like weaker competition, but without Aubameyang in that lineup, they look a little bit different and dangerous.
I think they're better. Without Aubameyang, honestly.
I think he's
absolutely.
I think the way what Aubameyang brings to the table, when you watch them play with Aubameyang, a lot of it feels like they're trying to spoon feed him goals because he is, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They play a little bit more fluid without him. I think Lacazette has stepped it up big time in these last couple weeks too. I think he's looked really, really good. He's looked comfortable off the ball. He's pressing. He's getting involved in Arsenal's build-up a little bit more. I like him a lot. I think the young guys are really, really stepping up for Arsenal. I think Tomiyasu's kind of really, really starting to find his feet. He looked good at the beginning of the season, and he looked good right when he came in. But I think he's really making that back four his in a way. And I think Emile Smith-Rowe has been one of the best midfielders in the league this year. And these past couple of weeks have really shown it.
Absolutely, Patrick. Arsenal have looked outstanding after quickly finding the bottom of the league. They stepped up to the plate and they have made very challenging but necessary changes, and it's paying off. Arsenal look really good right now.
I think Arteta trusting the youth was the best thing he could have done to take this Arsenal team forward.
Yeah, Odegaard and Martinelli have looked pretty good in the past couple weeks.
Martinelli scored a class goal the other day. It was a really, really good finish from him.
And Ketia got a hat trick in the cup yesterday as well. He's kind of been on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he looks good. He looks good.
Yeah, he's not bad, but.
And Liverpool have Arsenal in the next round of the Soda Cup.
Yes, that game just got done. We won't talk about that too much, but holy shit, what a cup tie, man.
You guys are going to score. That game between Arsenal and Liverpool is going to be like 9 fucking goals.
The last Carabao Cup game they played, it was 5-5, and we won on penalties at Anfield.
Oh my God, it's going to be
We certainly did just win on penalties. Kelleher, the old Irish goat, stepping up to the plate.
Taki Minamino gang.
Taki, Jota.
My Stan.
What a game.
All right. So before we let Josh lose you all a bunch of money, we're going to let Mitchell talk about the weather over in Florence.
The weather is not ideal right now, boys. Couple of tough matches as of late. We are tied for 6th now on goal differential, so technically 7th. It's not ideal.
Yes.
Yes. Off for 2 weeks, so we're gonna say partly cloudy right now.
So with a chance of rain. There's a little chance of rain.
Little chance of rain, but we have the sun rays still poking through the clouds.
Yeah, we'll see.
The boys are playing okay. Vlahovic, we're we're now at kind of decision time. It's going to be kind of nail biting for the next few weeks to see if he decides to stay in Florence.
It feels like he's not going to move until the winter, in my opinion. So,
do you mean summer?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Sorry.
Yeah. He said one thing.
The sunny time, not the cold time. He's going to move. We need to go to sun
time. Yeah, I do also feel that, but there's always that chance, and with the last couple of weeks slipping as they have, I just think he has a better opportunity to prove himself a little bit more if he stays the rest of the year, and I hope we can get that kind of. I mean, it's not affecting his play by any means. He's bagging goals left and right, but I think once it's kind of confirmed, I think everybody else can settle down for the rest of the year and they can refocus.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Josh, I lied. Make the people some money. What's on the bet? What are the bets? What are the bets for this weekend, man? How much money are we making?
Okay, first of all, we have 6 picks this week, and we're actually going to do it because it's Boxing Day. Boxing Day, I mean, it's the second biggest day in the Premier League season. We got games all day Sunday. We got a few games Monday. We're actually going to start off in the Championship, though, because I have a fun little quick bet for you guys. And that is Hull versus Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers are exciting because they are in third place right now, and they're only 1 point off automatic promotion. They are on fire. And they would be a fun team to see back in the Premier League, in my opinion.
I agree.
Last 5 games, won all 5. They've kept 5 clean sheets. I don't even need to do any research on Hull to tell that they are on good form. I'm going to take the Blackburn money line here, plus 135. I like betting championship games because you can get money line bets with just insane value, especially for a team that hasn't conceded 5 times out. I'll take that any day. And now we'll switch gears right to the Premier League. Not much internationally this weekend. So we're sticking to just 5 Premier League games, and we're going to start it off with Liverpool Leeds. I'm going to go Liverpool winning big here, minus 2.5. They beat them 3-0 at the start of the season, so I'm kind of looking for a repeat result on that one. Specifically, Junior Firpo kind of got toasted in that game. I think he had a match rating on Who Scored of like 5.6. And now is not the time to be playing bad against Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mo Salah. Overall, Leeds have just been really fucking bad. We saw that against Arsenal. We saw it against Man City. I mean, they're 11-1 on aggregate in their past 2 games. Expected to allow 3.16 goals on average in their past 3 games. I just see there's no way they're even staying within a couple of goals of Liverpool on Sunday.
No, this bet feels pretty nailed on to me. Leeds are just shipping goals left, right, and center this year. So, I think Liverpool are going to kill them.
Yeah, and that one has decent odds. You can't even bet on minus 1.5. That bet is not available because it's so nailed on. So, plus 105 odds is the odds for that one. So, still a pretty good pick value-wise. Man City Leicester is the next one. This is kind of an interesting one. A cup final last year, I believe, right, Pat?
It was the Carabao, right?
The Carabao? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was the Carabao Cup final.
So last 4 head-to-head in all comps, split down the middle. These sides are 2-2 against each other. Where I think this one kind of gets a little separated is there's no real value in betting City on this, but Leicester had to go really hard in the midweek. Despite having a bunch of COVID cases, they pretty much went with their strongest 11, I would say. Right, Mitch?
Yep.
You think?
Yeah.
So
it was their top.
That's what I kind of thought too. So City, have all that rest. I don't think there's any way City lose. Again, I'm not going to put money on that. What I do think is City will pour in some goals, and you kind of saw how Leicester's defense is a little bit shaky even against the Liverpool B side. So I have over 3.5 goals in this one, plus 110.
And this City side is humming right now too. Like I just said earlier, 11 goals in their last 2 games, and they don't have a fucking striker. So expect goals. Yeah,
and so Man City's, I believe, 8 for 9. kind of recently on over 2.5 goals, so I'm kind of just going a little bit more extreme. I think the over 2.5 was like minus 240, so not a ton of value. So we'll go with the over 3.5 bet.
Just put like $20 on the over 3.5. Yeah. You'll be good. You got a good chance of hitting on it, and if you hit on it, it's all right. You make a little money.
It's an all vibes game.
That's exactly all vibes, and hopefully a City clean sheet too.
Next, we got Villa, Chelsea. This one's interesting. Stevie's really getting the tests put to him early in his career over at the Villa. Had to face Brighton, Liverpool. He played City already too, Pat, right?
Yeah, he got murdered.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But he's played pretty well. He's 4-2.
It happens.
4-2. What's most impressive about this Villa side is that their defense has been really, really sharp. Since his arrival, they've only been expected to concede 1.1 goals per game. That's pretty good if you ask me. Chelsea having trouble scoring goals, and they still have some COVID cases. So I have this one under 2.5 goals. That's minus 125. So that's kind of the favored pick. I don't think this one's going to have much in it. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately for your guy, Stevie.
This one's a fun one because it's not one we would normally talk about, but Wolves and Watford. I have the Wolves money line, and I would bet probably $1,000 on this. Because Wolves, I think they've drawn 1, won 1, and lost 2 in their past 4. It's not the most impressive results, but they have played so well, and in my opinion, been so unlucky recently because they have had to play Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City.
Yeah.
And they played Brighton, which isn't like an easy game to just get points in. They won that one.
Those 3 performances were strong ones, too. Aside from the hairdryer of the week, in that City game.
They gave us a run for our money until Raul Jimenez forgot how to play.
Yeah, they look strong. It's I would bet big on this one.
They gave Liverpool a run for their money, too. We were pretty lucky. Yes, they did. And not to give any picks away, because we're not giving things away early on Team of the Season picks, but, we mentioned Nori a couple weeks ago. He's been class. Connor Cody's been good, and Jose Sa net is just unreal. Just to read off a couple stats for him, 0.95 goals allowed per 90 minutes. That's top 90% of all goalkeepers in Europe's top 5 leagues. What's most impressive is his save percentage. Shots on target, he's saving 80.7% of them, which is top 99 percentile all of Europe's top 5 leagues. He has made the difference for Wolves, in my opinion, this year. And Watford, they can score goals, but I think they're going to have a hard time in this one. And I see Wolves taking the 3 points at the Molineux. Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty straightforward, honestly.
We're going to see a lot of GoPro goals on the Cycling GK's YouTube.
Yes. And then the last one, West Ham, Southampton. I have the West Ham money line here, minus 110. This one's kind of a weird one because West Ham have kind of sucked lately. But I'm predicting this to be the bounce-back game for West Ham. They haven't won since that game against Chelsea, so I think Southampton has an open enough defense for really some of their attackers to kind of get in those spaces, Jared Bowen, Antonio, and whatnot, to go on and win that one, especially at home at the London Stadium.
I dig it.
Yep, I can get behind that bet too.
So 6 picks there. I think they're all pretty reasonable. We went about half and half with the minus odds, plus odds, some money lines, some over, under. We'll see how they do. Boxing Day
special.
Sprinkle.
Well, when we go 6 for 6, we're going to Vegas. Just remember that.
6 picks.
That would be a great Christmas gift.
Be sick. That would be sick. Did you pick 6 picks this week because there are 6 sides on a box?
No, I didn't. I had to count.
Josh.
For those watching on YouTube, that was probably a fun 5 seconds.
You just...
Oh, my God.
6. No, I didn't.
Okay, you boys want to dig into Team of the Season.
Yeah, so to close out this episode, we're about halfway through the Premier League. I think most teams have played. It's like 18 or 19 games right now, so we're hitting that halfway point. And we wanted to do like a mid-season Team of the Season. So, up to now, who have been the best 11 players in the Premier League. I think we all picked a 4-3-3 formation. And then at the end of it, we've got a couple of honorable mentions. Just the way we're going to format this for the listeners so we can say it now so no one gets confused while they're listening. We're going to go position by position and each share our picks, chat a little bit about it, and then move on to the next pick. There will be no defined main stand team of the season for the mid-season. It will just be our 3 separate teams, and we'll all just kind of chat about, how we felt or, about each of the players. So we'll start in goal. We'll go back to front. I don't mind kicking things off. I'll kick off the goalkeeper slot. So in goal, I have Ramsdale.
Fuck.
Josh, did you also have Ramsdale?
No. But I was 50-50 on him.
It was a toss-up.
So give a little context before the other two guys give theirs. I think Aaron Ramsdale has come in. He's added a really big leadership element to that Arsenal back four, who looked in disarray pretty much, until he stepped in and, made the goalkeeping position his own. And on top of that, he is 4th in the league in saves and 4th in the league in clean sheets. So he's doing the thing in between the posts. He's keeping the clean sheets, and he has really organized what was a really fucking messy Arsenal back four in like the 13 or 14 games that he has started back there for Arsenal this year.
I took the other side of the coin. I think we all can agree on. I took Pat's lad in net. I took Ederson solely based on clean sheets and their place in the Premier League right now. I think he has been tested a few times, a few big times, and stepped up to the occasion swimmingly. So
we have 3 different goalkeepers.
Wow.
Because I went Edouard Mendy. You guys kind of know how I feel about him. I think he makes the biggest impact at Chelsea. I think Chelsea, because they play on narrow score lines, I think they would be way farther down the table without him.
Yeah.
I watched that game against Brentford a few weeks ago now. It was when I went to Maine on the plane. He literally keeps Chelsea in games sometimes. I think he makes the biggest impact. Maybe that's why the Ederson one doesn't. Go ahead, Pat.
No, I'm just gonna say I can agree with that. When we get into the center backs, I will explain why a bit more to like talk to Mitchell's point too. But Ederson has been good this year. I will say that. I don't think Mitch's pick is totally out of left field. He's been a good keeper this year for sure. I watch him every single week that they play a game. But he's really got a fucking error in him, that crazy motherfucker. So
I think it's just a Brazilian thing. I had Ramsdale as my honorable mention. I agreed with Pat there on his points.
I think he's been really good this year. I think phenomenal. All 3 of those goalkeepers have probably been the 3 best keepers in the league this year, all things considered.
Yes.
Do you guys want to start at left back or right back and then go across?
Let's do
left to right.
Go left to right. All right. So at left back, I have João Cancelo.
I do as well.
Yep.
I don't think there's any debating who is the left back choice.
I think the fullbacks are the easiest 2 picks here.
Yeah.
Unless Josh is going to come out the woodwork.
Right wing is probably the easiest pick on the board.
Okay, yeah. I think the fullbacks and the right wing, if you picked anyone other than the 3 that will be mentioned, I don't know if this sport is for you, my friend.
Yes.
So we'll go moving. So we all picked Cancelo for left back. Do we need to talk about that?
I don't think we do.
You can listen to the other 18 episodes, and I'll be sitting there talking about him enough.
Exactly.
So the center backs.
Are we doing both at a time?
Yeah, I think you can share your pair.
Okay,
and then you can just chat about the 2. So my 2 center backs are Rudiger and Ruben Dias.
Not a bad shout.
Ruben Dias is a good one. I don't think he's had a good of a year this year as he did last year.
I think Ruben Dias is more important to the 10 City clean sheets than Ederson is. Watching him play, I think his defensive actions and the way he organizes that back four and the way that he is both a rock in the defense and he's a threat on set pieces. And for the first time in a while, noted City have a threat on set pieces in Ruben Diaz. I think what he brings to that City back line is much more than like any of our other defenders, and I think his quality and his ability as a defender is the reason we have these 10 clean sheets, not so much as Ederson in goal.
I also had Ruben Diaz, and I was kind of torn between him and Rudiger in my second spot. But I did put in Virgil because the comeback of Virgil has been so important to our side, and I think he also is far more important to the amount of clean sheet tallies that Liverpool have than Alisson in that.
That's fair. I don't hate the Virgil shout. I think Matip's probably been the better one this season.
Yeah, this year I agree. I think Matip has been your best center back.
And I was stringing with the idea of Matip, but just looking at the difference in the side from last year to this year, I just think it's blatantly obvious how important he is to our back line. And I think that's been a huge part of the success we've found this year as well. And he's also, I think, second in the league in touches. His distribution, he's been distributing the ball more than Alisson has out of the back. So,
well, that's always kind of been like a facet of that, of your guys' style of play. Ever since he came in, it's been those long diagonal balls from Virgil in the LCB spot out to Trent.
Yep.
On the right, and that's just kind of like always been something I noticed that Liverpool did.
And we've also been playing the ball back a lot recently. I've started to notice how much more often instead of pushing the tempo and playing those long through balls down the wings, we're starting to play through the midfield a lot more and bouncing the ball back, cycling that way, and then pushing up with our wing backs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Josh, what do you who do you got back there? What's your center back pairing? I feel like you got something for us there.
So Rudiger was my honorable mention. I actually have his partner as my first choice, Thiago Silva.
Yeah, see, I was torn between Silva and Rudiger, but I personally feel like Rudiger's been a little better than Thiago Silva in like the all-around facets of their games this season.
I like Thiago Silva in the box, like attacking wise. They're right down the middle. They're honestly like one I feel like does not outshine the other too much. I think you can make cases for both. The other one that I have in here that, again, this is like I kind of based some of mine on impact. This one you aren't expecting at all. Mohamed Salisu from Southampton.
I like it.
My socks just got knocked off, but I dig it.
I can see it, and I like it, and I'm going to pretend that this is you taking a dig at me for saying they were going to get relegated.
Southampton aren't going to get relegated. I actually really do like this guy.
I was very wrong about that, but continue. Sorry.
They breed like just good defenders, and I know stats like don't necessarily speak for themselves in this situation because like Southampton obviously face more pressure, so you have to take these with a little bit of a grain of salt. But pressures, tackles, and aerials won. He's in the top 90% of all center backs in Europe. And that's obviously kind of showing some talent, at least, especially tackles, because you can miss some tackles in a game, but to be able to make almost 3 tackles per 90 minutes that's pretty impressive to me. And whenever
impressive.
I've watched
that is impressive.
Yeah, whenever I've watched him, he seems like he's a controlling center back. He knows what he's doing, and I think that Southampton team probably leaks a lot more goals without him in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I can wholeheartedly agree with that. I think I felt losing Vestergaard would be a lot bigger of a loss for them this season, and I think he has stepped in really nicely in their back four, and he's made a way bigger difference than I expected him to. So hats off to the lad, and you guys aren't getting relegated. I was fucking wrong. All right. We can hop into the midfield now.
We didn't do right back.
Oh fuck! Well, it's Trent.
Trent.
My honorable. I skipped it.
So I skipped my honorable mention. I had Reece James as my honorable mention, so I waited till we were.
Oh yeah, if we're doing defensive honorable mentions now, as opposed to the end, which I guess makes sense, right? We say
yeah.
They're back. So my honorable mention in defense was Connor Cody.
Yeah, he was somebody
That's a
I
good one.
toyed with as well, but he's I believe leading the league in minutes played right now.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm pretty
mistaken.
sure he has like barely missed any time for Wolves. He's got the most goal line clearances for a player in the league right now, which is a weird stat, but I mean, he's
Especially
a rock
with
back there.
how many balls that Jose Sarr has saved.
Yeah, and I mean, Cody's just like looked really solid in the back. He blocks shots like a fucking maniac.
Yep.
He puts his body on the line every single game to try to
Yeah.
preserve either the clean sheet or the win, or just like to keep out as many goals as possible. I think he's been amazing this entire season.
Yep.
I think if not for the quality of the other couple of center backs you've mentioned above him, I would put him in. I was torn between him or Rudiger for my starting 11. But I think where Chelsea are and the quality that Rudiger brings to Chelsea's back five, he just edged it for me when I was making my picks there.
I thought about doing Reece James as an honorable mention at center back, but that's kind of a cheesy pick because it's kind of
Yeah.
It's all right, I guess.
It's a half and half. If you pick him at center back, it's like, well, he's really not. You're kind of just picking him as a right back and putting him at center back.
Right. So yeah, we all had Trent at right back.
Yeah,
Trent
no
just kind of feels like Cancelo this season. There's nothing really to talk about with Trent. He's been incredible, really good going forward. I like to give Trent shit for his defending. I think he stepped it up a little bit this year. I think he's a little less suspect than normal. I think Trent has at least learned how to put himself in positions where he's not going to get caught out as much this season. So I tip my hat to you, Trent. He's been very, very good this year. I really can't say anything but good things about Trent, as much as I want to try to banter him in front of you two. So jumping into the midfield, do you guys want to just go like one at a time and say one of your midfielders?
Do we all have a six?
Yeah, I have a defensive midfielder. Yeah.
Okay, why don't we just do sixes first then?
All right, I've led every single time. Someone else say yours first.
I'll go first. I went Declan Rice.
He's my honorable mention.
Okay, that's fair enough, and I think there's a few arguments for different. Rodri's definitely one.
Yep, that's my pick. So my pick for the six is Rodri this season. In my opinion, I think Rodri's been the best defensive midfielder in the world this year. So yeah, I dropped him in. It's like Sergio Busquets reincarnate, but he's a little bit less of a shithead. He doesn't dive as much, so I like him a little more.
Again, I think Rodri faces just a little bit less pressure, so I think the work Rice has done kind of just emphasizes like how really good he is, and he's added that little bit of going forward, that little bit of like offensive touch shooting to his game this year.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think the only reason I put Rodri in there is because he's so integral to City's recycling of possession. He makes smart interceptions all the time. And he's been really, really up for the big games. And also this season in particular, he has been one of the most press resilient players, I think, in the league. It's been like impossible to get him off the ball. I'm just seeing he just spins out of trouble and just like gets it out to a fullback, or spins out of trouble and knocks it in between the line to like Bernardo or Kevin De Bruyne or whoever else is playing in the midfield with him. I think he's been really, really good. And he's formed like a weirdly good double pivot partnership with Bernardo. In big games. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but Bernardo playing like deep, again, like against you guys at Anfield, for example. And I think just his versatility as like a defensive midfielder who can kind of do the dirty side of things. Like I think he's kind of starting to pick up from Fernandinho, like when to start fouling people in the break and become a master of the dark arts, so to speak. I think he's added a couple more elements to his game this season, and I just think he's been world class, since the start of the year. I don't think he's put a foot wrong in like any game, honestly, aside from Crystal Palace, but every City player was bad in that loss to Crystal Palace, so that game doesn't count.
So my six has definitely put in wrong feet this year. I had Pogba.
Okay.
I put in Pogba because his production has been like double what he's done over the last 2 years so far. I think he's playing in a challenging side with a lot of changes, and I think he anchors what the midfield has been doing when he's able to play instead of sitting out from a red card. But I think Paul Pogba has been kind of the player that he should have been for the last 3 years, and has had the ability to do, and that's why I have him in mind. I wanted to put in Rodri. He was my second choice.
See, Mitch, I think this is going to be the only only pick so far anyway that I just really disagree.
You don't agree with? Yeah, I know.
He was only good for like 3 weeks. Honestly, the 6 assists, like 4 of them came in one game. I just don't think he's been good at all, personally. Not to just sit here and be like, you're wrong. But that's the only one. I can't see Pogba getting into a team of the season right now.
I know. That's why it's mine.
Yeah, and you know what? You're entitled. You're allowed to have that opinion. So moving to the next spots. My next center mid, I don't think anybody didn't expect this to happen. I think he's been the best midfielder in the world, and I think he's a top 3 player in the world right now. It's Bernardo Silva. Similar to Rodri, don't think he's put a foot wrong all season. He's actually scoring goals every once in a while now, which is kind of funny. He's just been world class, box to box. His work rate is unmatched. I think he's one of the better dribblers in the league. The ball is just glued to his foot for the most part. I think he makes us tick from box to box. He picks the ball up deep, gets it, just continues his runs. I think he covers like more ground than fucking anyone. I don't have an exact statistic to back that up, but he's just always running. I think between his engine and his production and what he does on both sides of the ball and how involved he is in this City side that really needs someone to be as involved as he is, and how sparse, De Bruyne's involvement has been throughout the year with his injuries and his like pretty poor form for the most part for a majority of the season. I think Bernardo has really, really stepped up this year and is showing everybody, why it would have been such a blow if City did end up selling him last summer, and why I'm so happy that as a fan, why they retained him. I think he's just been phenomenal this year.
Is that another concrete one that all 3 of us had?
Yes.
Okay. So all 3 of us had Bernardo Silva in the midfield, so I guess we can just kind of skip that one. Pat can give us a midfielder.
For what Pat said. Hey, look at that. We agreed on something.
Nice. My next one I think is controversial. I don't know if everybody has this guy in their midfield, but if you listen to how I've been talking about a certain team with a cannon on their logo, there's one player that I've really, really liked all year. And this one is a controversial pick, I understand. But I have Emile Smith-Rowe in my midfield.
I also had Emile Smith-Rowe there. I think what he has provided in Arsenal's midfield is something that they've been looking for a very long time. His production and his work rate have been insane, and I think he has been one of the most important midfielders to a side this year, just in terms of stepping it up when the team needs it.
Yep, I think it's not a coincidence that a lot of Arsenal's good runs of form and their good games coincide with very good games from Emile Smith-Rowe. I think he is one of the only reasons, next to Tomiyasu, that Arsenal, have made this resurgence and fought from literally the bottom of the table to 4th place. I think Emile Smith-Rowe being given like free reins in midfield has been one of the biggest reasons, for their resurgence, among other things. But I think you can credit a lot of it to Emile Smith-Rowe and his performances, throughout the season.
So Smith-Rowe was one of my honorable mentions. I have another midfielder from London, though, as my other midfielder, and that's Conor Gallagher.
Oh, yo, I like that pick a lot. I think
I like it because
but
he plays on a team that's inept of offensive creativity, and to have, I think, 9 goal contributions. I think he has 6 and 3.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's played in like every game, and he's just been boss. And that one was actually an easy pick for me. I didn't really consider ESR. I have him as an honorable mention, but I have quite a few honorable mentions. So I think Gallagher slotted in quite nicely into the team of the season. I think he deserved a shout.
Yeah, I added an honorable mention like a quarter of the way through the pod, and it was Gallagher because I was just like reviewing my team, and I was just like, holy fuck, how did I forget him? But I don't think he's quite at the level of the other 3 that are in the midfield, so that's why he like doesn't really miss out. He misses out narrowly on my 11, but I think he's had such a fucking good year. So that's a good shout, Josh. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, in the few games that I have watched of Crystal Palace, he's been all over the place. Like, he's a fucking animal.
I just hate that he's
very,
a Chelsea
very good player.
lad.
Yeah, he's going to go back there and maybe they'll sell him because they don't. I don't know. He's
Well,
not
so,
Mason Mount, so he won't
shout,
get time.
shout that we didn't say was Mason Mount. That probably deserves one.
Honorable mention. Yep. Mason Mount's my other honorable mention.
Yeah, he was one of my two midfield honorable mentions as well.
I think him and Rudiger have been Chelsea's two best players this year. I just think that Chelsea's success has come from the back, not the midfield or the forwards. So Rudiger kind of got that nod ahead of any other Chelsea player in my 11. And I think ESR has been far more important for what he does for Arsenal than what Mason Mount does for Chelsea at the moment. So that's just why ESR narrowly gets in over Mount for me personally. But he's having a really, really good season. I think a lot of Chelsea's success has come from games where Mason Mount scores a goal or just puts in a good performance. I like to banter Mason Mount. I said he was kind of shit last year. Proved me wrong a little bit. He's a pretty good player. So
I thought he was going to be I thought he was overhyped initially. He completely proved me wrong.
Yeah, he's having a pretty good year. Which is, it's good to see. I mean, I like when, players have good seasons. I like watching good football, so I don't hate it. We can go to the forwards now. I feel like you guys want to start
on the right.
Yeah, let's just get the obvious one out of the way.
Mo Salah. Salah.
Yeah, I was going to try to think of someone funny to say, but I couldn't think of someone funny. It's Mohamed Salah.
There's not even somebody you could slot in there.
Best player in the world. That's really not that hard. I should have fucking said Jadon Sancho. That's what I should have said.
Made in Kensington.
Yeah, Salah's been fucking amazing. I'll let you guys talk about him if you want, but goddamn, he's been so good.
Yeah, he's having a Thierry
goals.
An Henry-esque run right now. I think he's starting to kind of build up especially if Liverpool can win another league title. I think he's really building up one of his his main legacy at Liverpool. I think he's starting to build up as probably one of the best to ever do it in the Premier League.
I think Salah is really unfortunate to be playing in an era where a Pep Guardiola team is in the same league as him, just because if there's one thing that Guardiola teams know how to do, it's win their domestic leagues.
Yep.
Unfortunately. And I don't know. I'm trying to, it's just how, look at him at Bayern, look at him at Barca. If there's one thing, and he's even said it himself, he loves winning the league,
which is why I think it's Barca. They need a manager.
Well, that's why I don't like giving the Salah talk, especially, or like a lot of players. I don't like using just titles to talk about how good they are.
Right.
Because I think if Steven Gerrard never won a Premier League title, he's still one of the best midfielders of all time, especially in the Premier League. And I think Salah is going to be the same way. I think regardless of how many more Premier League titles he wins, if you watch the game and you know ball and you're not like a fucking little internet troll, you're going to recognize what is greatness being put in front of you. And that's come from someone who fucking hates the guy for the most part. But he's a phenomenal player. And he's really is making history for that Liverpool side. And I think when it's said and done and he finishes his time with Liverpool, he's going to go down as one of the best players the league has ever seen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Another Liverpool forward, do we all have him? Because I think there's some argument about where you put him.
I have Jota as left wing.
I do as well.
That one's pretty easy. I mean, he's just been all over the place this season.
He's been so good. And he
10 goals
out of nowhere.
10 goals, most of them with his head for a tiny little Portuguese lad. He's been fun to watch this year. He's been a lot of fun. It stepped up big today.
He's a ball hawk, man.
He is. Yeah. He's insane, and he fits so well into this Liverpool forward front three.
It's good that you guys, because in my opinion, I think your front two, Jota, Salah, and Trent have really been carrying your side this year.
Absolutely.
At least in my opinion. You guys have good players all over the place, but I think Trent, Salah, Jota in particular have been three guys that have really been making sure you guys just don't fucking lose games. And the fact that Mane has not seemed like the player that we all, saw these past couple of years, but
he still has 7 goals.
Right, but
that's the thing.
You have someone like Jota who can really step up and be that guy. I think Jota is better than Mane right now.
Yeah.
And
on current form, absolutely.
I mean, I thought he was a little bit better than Mane last year, all things considered. I don't think Mane has been very good for the past year and a half. He's just looked funny, like missing really easy chances.
I think he actually leads the league in missed chances.
Yeah, he's had a weird year because the goals are up this year, but it's like his overall play is still kind of just like
Him and Jota are tied for league leaders in big chances missed with 9.
That's funny, but Jota has 3 more goals, so you ignore those for him, and you're like, well, Mane's not having a bad year. I'm not trying to say Mane's terrible, but he's just not the player he was a couple of years ago. Who's your striker? This was the hardest one for me to pick because every fucking number 9 in the league this year has felt so goddamn average.
It hasn't been the best year for number 9s.
This is the best pick, I think, in my opinion. I think we're going to have 3 different players.
Who do you have, Josh?
I have Emmanuel Dennis from Watford.
I like that pick. That's a good pick. That's fun.
9 goal contributions, again, in a team that is offensively inept, and he's doing it on the world's biggest stage in the best league. He has been also, he has 30% of Watford's shots on target this year.
He's literally doing everything for that side. I have a guy who's kind of the only reason that Manchester United are getting points from a lot of these games, and it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Fuck, do I hate him, but he is getting getting United 3 points way more than I want them to. So
74th minute goals.
He just loves securing the 3 points for United.
That was my honorable mention. In terms of impact, I think he's there, but overall play, I thought Dennis was better, and that's why I picked him.
No, I don't think Ronaldo's overall play has been good since 2016. Yeah. So you're preaching to the choir. But he is scoring goals, and at the end of the day, I think that is the most important thing you can judge a number 9 on a striker. I think ultimately that is what that role is supposed to do, is score goals, and he's scoring goals and he's scoring important goals. So
and Ronaldo for that reason, thank you for explaining why I picked mine. I had Jamie Vardy.
I'm with it. That was my honorable mention.
Thank you.
Because Jamie Vardy has 9 goals and Leicester are dog shit. And it's not like they have anybody else to step up and do anything. They have Madison.
Yuri Tielemans.
Tielemans, Madison, Vardy. Those are, and then they have Schmeichel and net. Okay.
Hey, you put Harvey some respect on Wilfred and Ndidi. Kelechi Iheanacho? Come on, man. You respect Kelechi Iheanacho. Respect Iheanacho.
But no, I had Vardy as mine. Still not the player he has been over the last few years, but still up there and banging in goals as a number 9.
Yeah, he's having a good year. Literally the only reason I picked Ronaldo over Vardy is Ronaldo's goals are the only reason United are in the top 6 right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely.
Do we want to do a manager?
I think we can. I can go first or last.
You go
all
first,
know
Pat.
Who I'm going to fucking say.
Pep?
Pep.
It's an interesting one.
Pep is the manager I have picked this year. I think what he is doing at the moment without a striker is
that's a good point.
Unbelievable. Caught up to Liverpool's goal difference in the last 2 days, 10 clean sheets, no striker. This is the most defensively solid Manchester City team we have ever seen. The system he's got the guys playing in, not only does it work, but it works extremely well. And I think the past year and a half maybe have shown this, but this year in particular, I think the word I'm trying to find a looser simile for is pragmatic. But Pep has started to maybe respect a lot of sides a little bit more. Example, like Liverpool starting a double pivot against Liverpool, giving De Bruyne a free roam role in that game and leaving Rodri and Bernardo to play cleanup duty and stop you guys from making those hard countering plays like that. And versus Chelsea, knowing they were going to sit deep, positioning the team really high. I think he's doing much better in big games, and he's getting the team just up to kill the little fish. And for the most part, it is working. And I just think that tactically and all things considered, I feel that Guardiola has been the best manager this season. My honorable mention for a manager similar to last season, it's David Moyes. I think his West Ham has been phenomenal, and I think that you can't praise him enough for what he is doing with that side.
David Moyes was my pick.
I think I also had Moisey.
Yeah, like where he was last season, you reset the table, fans are allowed back in stadiums, and to continue doing what he did last year is what's most impressive, in my opinion.
Right, and I can see why you would say that too. I think West Ham have been really good. I was torn between Pep and Moyes, honestly, from a manager of the season. I just think the way that Pep has City playing this year. And,
you didn't want to shout Tuchel?
Are we wrong to not shout Arteta?
I was torn between Moyes and Arteta. I actually had Arteta as my honorable mention because just what he has been able to do after the start and
endure from the fans, honestly,
and just to stand up and actually make the side work with what he had is so impressive.
I think
Tomiyasu obviously a big signing, but the decisions he's made and what he's done to kind of balance out the side has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the balls to say, not only am I going to give the kids a run, I'm going to suspend our club captain. I'm going to get some. I'm going to fix this fucking locker room, and I'm going to do it however I have to do it.
Yeah,
I think him recognizing that and then doing it, like he's showing a bit more ruthlessness. And I think you need to do it when you have a team with like these aging superstars that like have these unnecessary egos and these young kids that like need someone to really push them in the right direction. Yeah, I think Arteta's a really, really good shout. I do think we were a little wrong to not mention him as well there, Josh. I think he's doing a really good job with Arsenal this year.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I didn't think about him was because of how poor of a start they had. But the recovery can't be praised enough, and if they keep it up and they finish top 4, I think he should be in discussion for manager of the year, all things considered.
He's starting to show signs of building a culture, which is nice.
Yep, that's really, really big. The past few games, for sure, it feels like there's a more defined style of play. You can see it on the pitch, too, which is, again, very important, I think, as well. So, yeah, that was talking team of the season with the main stand. That was, like, surprisingly cordial, guys.
I know we agreed on a lot of picks, and I feel like there's just a lot of good shouts in the Premier League this year, so it's hard to really, step on toes.
Yeah.
Right.
There's been some consistency across the board, at least.
Aside from fucking Paul Pogba in the midfield, I think we all agreed on everything.
Rafinha is not a bad shout, too. We kind of left him out.
He's
thought
really
about it,
too.
but
8 goals, right? 7 or 8 goals?
8.
9.
He's having a good year for Leeds.
9. No, 8. Sorry.
Yeah, he's having a good year. It's just like tough to put a Leeds player anywhere because they're so fucking dog shit.
We'll save him in the summer.
We'll save Rafinha for the secret segment at the end of the season.
Yes.
We got plans. We got plans, guys. So, I think that was episode 19.
Episode 19. 20 next week, boys.
You don't want to mention the naughty and nice list?
Ooh.
I don't have anyone.
I have an obvious one for the naughty list, and it's Paul Tierney, and he's getting a pair of fucking glasses for Christmas.
Yo.
Do we just end the
That's
episode
funny.
There?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. See you guys later. If you made it this far in the episode, thank you for listening this far. If you celebrate Christmas, have a very Merry Christmas. This episode should be out before the holiday time. So,
yes.
When you're getting drunk with your family on Christmas morning, put this on your speakers and have them listen to it with you.
Correct. Like, share, and subscribe to the thing.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the bell so you know whenever we post videos. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with your team of the seasons. DM us your team of the seasons too on Instagram. Tweet it to us. Do whatever you want to do. Let's have a discussion. There'll be graphics for all the team of the seasons too. We welcome the open discussion with everything. Just don't come in the comments with a wrong opinion, because Josh will flame you on the main account and his personal account.
Yeah, he's coming double barrel shotgun from Ricker.
This dude uses our podcast Instagram as his Kevin Durant burner.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a very happy holidays period. Stay safe. I hope you get everything you wanted and more, unless you're a Man United fan. Have a good night.
Deuces.
Peace.